Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we have pulled a really fascinating collection of sources, all focused on the principles of wealth and success, and they're built on the wisdom of, well, one of the greatest investors of our time, Charlie Munger.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when you think about building wealth, most people are looking for that one big secret, right?
The grand gesture, the market timing trick, or some extreme daily routine.
Exactly. And that whole search for the seismic shift is where Munger's wisdom just, completely diverges from the usual self-help noise. Our deep dive today confirms a lesson he taught over and over. Real financial freedom is absolutely not about those big, unsustainable moves.
It's not the 4 a.m. wake-up calls or the daily ice baths.
No, not at all.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission for you today is really to absorb this core truth that wealth is built through compounding, and not just, financial compounding.
Right, it's the compounding of small, consistent decisions, these tiny habits that, frankly, most people just dismiss as insignificant.
We're focusing on the processes that just relentlessly prevent major mistakes and encourage that slow, incremental growth.
Think about it this way. Munger's whole philosophy was often rooted in inversion. He would figure out what not to do instead of trying to be brilliant. So if you can master these small daily disciplines, you start to avoid the predictable errors that derail almost everyone else.
And that alone changes everything.
It transforms your financial future.
So let's start with the foundation, the big mindset shift, which sounds simple, but is profoundly difficult to actually maintain.
It is. The wealthiest people consistently create more than they consume.
That's it. That's the fundamental difference.
It's the primary structural difference. It dictates how they spend their most valuable resource, which is, of course, time. And we have some data on this that just makes it crystal clear.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so 67% of wealthy individuals watch television for 1 hour or less per day.
An hour or less. That's a striking correlation. And if we flip that,
if you flip it, 77% of those who are struggling financially watch more than an hour of television a day.
And look, this isn't some kind of moral judgment on watching TV.
Not at all. It's a diagnostic. It's simply about the allocation of your energy and your time.
When you're consuming, whether that's TV or just, endlessly scrolling on your phone, you're taking in what other people have created. You're training your brain to be passive.
Exactly. And when you flip that equation, when you start creating, you're actively developing knowledge, or you're building a skill or creating an asset. And that is what compounds your value.
So the actionable step for you here is small, but it's really potent. Start with just 15 minutes.
So just 15 minutes of dedicated creation a day.
It could be writing, building something, practicing a new skill, coding, whatever. But the critical part is you have to track it. For the next week, just audit your creation time versus your consumption time.
That little shift works because it just breaks the inertia of consumption. It is so easy to fall into that passive flow. By dedicating just 15 minutes to creating something, you're sending a powerful signal to yourself that you're an active participant in your own future, not just an audience member.
Okay, so if mindset is the engine, we need a roadmap.
Yeah.
And that brings us to curating your environment, both internally and externally.
Right. There's that old saying that your circle determines your net worth more than your intelligence.
And it really plays out. Our sources show it's not just who they are, but how they talk.
Yes. Successful people, they tend to discuss solutions. They talk about obstacles and how to overcome them. Unsuccessful circles, on the other hand, spend their time complaining, gossiping, and just dwelling on why things will not work.
So your default mode is either problem solving or problem stating.
Exactly. And that directly changes your financial outcomes.
Now, for you listening, if you feel like you're not in the right circle, the solution today is actually pretty democratic, right? You can curate your digital environment.
You don't need an invitation to the boardroom anymore. You can use books, podcasts, online communities to learn from the best minds in any field. You can literally shift your average upward.
So that's the external. Let's turn inward. This is where Munger's focus on avoiding psychological errors really comes in. You have to curate your internal environment.
And a key tool for that is something he called the I Can Do This file. And it's much more than just a list of your successes.
This is where it gets nuanced. You don't just document the success. You have to document the internal experience of getting there. The key part is recording the moments of fear, the doubt you felt when you started, right alongside the successful outcome.
Because we all hit those valleys of doubt. And when you do, your brain naturally defaults to the most recent evidence of failure. It's a cognitive bias called the availability heuristic.
So this file is a tool to bypass that flaw.
It is. It gives you evidence-based confidence. It forces your brain to look at a documented history of challenges you have already overcome. It's like a psychological cheat sheet.
Speaking of internal wiring,
Yeah.
let's talk about gratitude.
I know, it can sound a bit fluffy. Generic self-help advice.
It can, but the research is just undeniable. The science shows that practicing gratitude actually trains your brain to shift its focus. It moves from threat detection to opportunity detection.
And that mental shift is huge for decision making.
It's massive.
Yeah.
When your brain is constantly scanning for threats, what you lack, what went wrong, it shuts down creativity. Gratitude forces you to notice what is working. You become proactive. You see possibilities.
So the tiny habit here is so manageable. Just set a 5-minute reminder at night. Write down one specific thing you're grateful for.
It can be tiny. A problem you solved at work, a perfect cup of coffee, anything. That persistent reframing leads to better choices.
Okay, moving from mindset to the actual, financial mechanics, we have to address the common flaw in how people approach saving.
Right. Most people try to save what is left after spending. That is completely backward. The key, the critical reverse engineering, is to spend what is left after you save and invest.
It's a psychological pre-commitment. You're basically making failure impossible.
And the enforcement mechanism is automation. You have to automate a fixed portion of your income into savings and investments the second it hits your account. This guarantees growth without relying on willpower, which is, let's be honest, fragile.
It's the ultimate defense against lifestyle inflation.
It is. Your lifestyle will always expand to fill your income if you let it. Automation just makes that money disappear before you even see it. Your future self gets paid first.
So this is something you listening should do today. Go set up the automatic transfer.
Do it now.
So automation is the shield, but specificity, that's the sword. Munger believed, and our sources really emphasize this, that vague goals produce vague results.
A goal like I want to save more money is useless.
It gets you nowhere.
Nowhere. A goal needs an exact amount and an exact deadline. I will save $30,000 for a down payment by the end of 2027. Now that's powerful.
Why? Because you can break it down.
Exactly. The power of specificity is that you can break it down into measurable milestones. In that case, it's $1,250 a month. Now you have a target you can actually track. You know if you're ahead or behind.
And to manage that target, you need intentional tracking. This means auditing your spending, maybe monthly for personal, quarterly for business.
And categorize every dollar into 3 simple buckets. Fundamental, which is your needs. Fun, which is lifestyle choices. And future, for investments and growth.
Tracking provides so much clarity. Most people just have this vague anxiety about where their money goes.
This isn't about putting yourself on a financial diet. It's about giving yourself a compass. It shows you the raw facts so you can align your spending with your actual values and take back control.
So we've set up the plumbing. Now let's talk about maximizing the returns on, well, the only thing you truly own. Yourself, your time, and your network.
Which brings us back to that simple axiom. The more you learn, the more you earn.
It's true, but we need to go a little deeper into what you learn.
Right. The idea is to commit 1 hour every single week to learning something new about money for your industry. The returns on that compound faster than almost any stock.
For example, studying something like behavioral finance. You discover these deep-seated money scripts beliefs you formed when you were like 7 years old.
And those beliefs can sabotage your investment confidence as an adult without you even realizing it. Continuous learning helps you find and correct those internal errors. It keeps you adaptable.
And the best investment you will ever make is in yourself. I mean, the returns are just logical. A great stock might get you 10% a year.
Maybe, but investing in a high-demand skill, that could increase your income by 50% or even double it in a few years. The market can't offer that kind of exponential return.
And that self-investment absolutely has to include your physical health.
It's not optional. Exercise, nutrition, sleep, these are not accessories. They're requirements for high performance. Your body is the operating system for your wealth creation engine. You can't enjoy freedom if you're too exhausted to use your own mind.
Okay, let's talk about the yes trap, this psychological pressure cooker we all live in.
We have this deep-rooted social pressure to say yes to every request, every invitation, and it just guarantees burnout. You end up neglecting your most important priorities.
By saying yes to everything unimportant, you are, by default, saying no to the things that actually move you towards your goals.
Your energy is finite. So the only solution is to get crystal clear on your specific goals. When a request comes in, you have to ask, will this help me achieve my goals? or is it a distraction?
And if it's a distraction.
You have to decline politely but firmly. A simple, I need to focus on other priorities right now, is enough.
This kind of ruthless focus also applies to opinions. This is a hard lesson Munger always emphasized. Stop caring about the opinions of people who can't help you.
You have to filter. When you're seeking advice, only listen to people who have demonstrably achieved what you want to achieve. I mean, how can someone who's never built wealth advise you on building wealth?
It's a fair question. The minute you embrace that, you just free up so much psychological bandwidth. You gain the confidence to take calculated risks that other people are too afraid to try.
And when you are building that network, it has to be with intent, with reciprocity. True networking isn't about extraction, it's leading with value.
There's a great example of an entrepreneur who reached out to over 50 professionals every month, but he wasn't asking for favors.
No, he was offering specific connections or solutions first. He was leading with what he could give. That builds goodwill, it builds trust, and that is what compounds into real opportunities.
And tying all of this together is the simple reality that, there's never a perfect time to start.
You will never feel 100% ready. You have to take action before you feel ready. Action creates information. And failure, as long as you learn from it, contains essential lessons. The only true failure, the Munger failure, is not trying at all because of paralysis by analysis.
Okay, final major hurdle. Communication. There's a huge disconnect here. Something like 45% of Americans don't talk about money with their loved ones.
Yet 66% of people believe those conversations are the key to financial freedom. That silence creates so much complexity and emotional friction.
We have to normalize these discussions.
And the way to do that is to frame them as learning opportunities, not judgment sessions. Approach it with curiosity. Ask open-ended questions like, how do you manage your budget? Or what was the biggest money lesson you learned growing up?
Those conversations can reveal so much. A new budgeting method, an investment opportunity, or just the value system of your partner.
Invaluable insights.
And this leads us perfectly to the final, all-encompassing principle, the 1% progress rule.
This is where it all comes together. Wealth is built through these tiny, incremental, consistent improvements across all the areas we just talked about.
We're talking about compounding marginal gains.
Exactly. Increase your automated savings rate by 1% this month. Find a way to trim expenses by just 1%. Spend 1% more time learning a key skill. Consistency beats intensity every single time. It makes the growth so manageable that it just becomes part of your routine.
And that really is the fundamental lesson, isn't it? Distilled from all our sources and Munger's decades of wisdom, wealth is not built in these huge leaps of genius. It's built on the steady, persistent progress of consistent decisions, compounded over time.
You have everything you need to start implementing these tiny principles today.
So as we wrap up, let's leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Since Munger's entire structure really relies on understanding that relationship between creation and consumption, the alignment of your time with your goals, here's a provocative challenge for you.
Okay.
For 1 week, conduct a highly detailed audit of your time, not just your money. Categorize every 30-minute block purely as either creation or consumption. And then just look at the raw data. See how closely your daily actions actually align with your long-term financial ambition.